Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to your bonus VIP BrickBucks update. So, as I mentioned during our last bonus update and the group chat, I was going to be doing a video on key dates. So, what I did was I put in key dates for myself as a business, things that I tend to do, and I also put in key dates when it comes into certain sales. Now, the problem with this is, and I mentioned this during the group chat, is I was a little bit hesitant to make this video because there is a lot of things that may be in stone that may turn in and be fluid. For example, we did have Prime Day, but Prime Day was in June this year. But 2 years ago, before COVID, it was in July. So there may be some times where some of these big box retailers may move a lot of things around. So just be wary of that as I go on in this presentation. All right. So when it comes to January, I've said this before. It really is gratifying that first week of January when you look back at your prior year and you see the success that you had, right? Not only do you see the success that you had, but you also look back to 2 or 3 years ago and those building blocks and certain things that you did back then really set you up for success and paid off during that year that you were selling. And it's also a good idea to review what your opportunities were. I really don't tweak my business that much anymore. But, 4 or 5 years ago, that was whenever I moved from all of my large sets going down to smaller sets. I started to, maybe a year or two ago, started to make sure architecture wasn't my number one position, if you want to call it that. And I was starting to become a little bit more diverse. So, just review certain things that you did well at, and also review certain things that you didn't do so well at, or there just could be environmental shifts and you need to adapt to that, because if you don't adapt to that, then there's a chance that you will have less opportunity to succeed when the next year comes. Now, of course, come January, everybody is catching their breath. And before we could recover, which I will talk about, is, there's still a lot of buying. The retirement list by this point in time has already been out for some time. And there's still going to be a lot of sets and maybe even multiple sets in particular themes that you're going to want to buy up. And January is definitely the time to do it. I could be wrong, but if I look back at this past January, I think I purchased maybe $40,000 in Lego the first 6 weeks of the year, and January was a big part of that. Now, you also need some time to recover, too, because you don't want to get sick of what you're doing with Lego, right? You need some time to rest mentally and just get on to something else. Maybe it was you were too busy with Q4, so it might be a good idea to bid and watch The Mandalorian. I believe next January, the final season of Better Call Saul will be out, so that's something that I'm definitely looking forward to as a huge distraction during the month of January. You really want to just refill your tank. And I talked about the end of year video where, you're going to want to even reward yourself too, because at times being a reseller is a thankless job. So look at those items out there that you like. And, I'm not saying, buy yourself a new car, but, you should treat yourself to a couple $100 of something and reward yourself for the prior year, because you earned it and you definitely deserve it. All right, so when this February came, it was a lot different than the Februarys of the past. You're still wanting to buy up retired sets, and yes, there's still some sets out there. I keep on pointing to the Zombie Cave. That was a set that was, as far as I'm concerned, was a gift. I think last time I checked, that set is somewhere around $40 now. So that's great if we were able to purchase that set in February still. And there's still a lot of sets out there. There was this Ninjago Dragon set. So you need to keep on buying the sets that you need for Q4 of the next year coming up, and potentially the following year too. Network. Now, when I say network, I'm not talking about necessarily making new contacts, but for me, it's a good time to review and call up my reseller buddies and see how their year went. There will be some texting during Q4, but there's really not a lot of phone conversations during that time. So February presents itself as a good time to do that. You also want to put the summer retirement sets on your radar. Now, here's the thing, my friends. I've talked about this in the past. This past summer was the first time I've ever seen a retirement list published on a Lego website. Before that, there was just kind of people noticing certain inventory drying up, and that was really it. And, there were some educated guesses, of course, but, who knows what's going to happen come February, March, April of next year. But, this is something that you want to keep in mind, because here's the thing, folks. This is that one time where not a lot of people are focused on retirement. I mean, people were focused on retirement now because it was on a lot of Lego blogs. But I guarantee you, if this list is not out again next year, you're not going to see a lot of people talking about the summer retirement sets. And finally, you want to pre-Q4 prep. And when I say pre-Q4 prep, I'm not talking about starting to put everything in boxes and taping things up again. I'm not talking about that. I'm going to be getting into that later. What I'm talking about when it comes to a pre-Q4 prep is you want to set yourself up for success. That's something you're always wanting to do. So, this might be the time where, hey, maybe you were banned from Target, or maybe you haven't been banned from Target, but, it wouldn't hurt to get a second Target account, or maybe a second Walmart account, or, call your brother up. And I'm sure your brother or sibling or a close family member may have an Amazon account, but you want to touch base. And if they don't, you want to make sure that they sign up for it, because you want to go ahead and potentially use their account. And here's the thing. It's one thing if you do have a family member that does have an Amazon account, or a family member that doesn't have an Amazon account sign up. It's another thing if they're willing to give you their login information. Now here it's, I got my mother-in-law, so it's no problem. Some family members may be wary of that, and I understand that. But the reason why I mention that is because you want to start ordering from their account now, right? You want to order like 1 or 2 things a month on your IP address, so whenever it comes time for Q4, there's really no hiccups or no roadblocks to where you want to be. So when March comes for me, I would say March is one of the drier months of the year. I mean, I don't want to say there's nothing going on in Lego, but it's not as exciting as some of the other months whenever we're starting to come in midsummer and of course the fall. But managing your debt is important. This is by this time you should have already had all of your big ticket months come in. You should hopefully have had some stuff left over in the bank, so you could go ahead and pay certain credit card debts off, or I'm just saying mortgages on the house, or other things, other agreements you may have had with your spouse or other family members. And of course, you want to prepare your taxes. I think for me, I want to say it took probably 2.5 hours to get, maybe 3 hours tops, to get all of my taxes together. Now, I did break it up in 2 days. I think I did maybe an hour and a half one day and an hour and a half a second day. And, I just let it sit there, and I kind of slept on it to make sure that there was something that I didn't forget. And then a couple days later, I just went and I sent it into my accountant. Now, in March, you still will have the occasional end-of-life purchases, right? So you want to be careful and save some cash on the sidelines if you're able to. You do have a lot of things going on. You may have paid off $10,000 or $20,000 in credit card. You do have your taxes coming up, so you may or may not be able to buy. It all depends where you are in your reselling journey. And of course, we do have the end of the quarter clearance sales. Now, sometimes Walmart will have, and I thought about putting this on the January, but I thought I would mention it here. Sometimes Walmart will have like some sort of super clearance in January, and that may be a good time to pick things up. They will also have something like that in July. Those are the two times that they don't have things advertised, right? They just mark them down, and then you'll have to, kind of be in the know and go ahead and pick that up. But there are opportunities to, check out the other big box stores and see what's going on in their clearance section. Now, when it comes to April, you do want to do at least a little bit of Q4 prep. And when I say little, I mean very little. Like you're wanting to get in your mind or on paper what sets you think will potentially be ready to go this Q4. And you should already have, a good idea of what they are. You should have sets that you purchased not the prior year, but the year before that, which is, those sets just really didn't get at that price point and you didn't want to pull the trigger on that. That should be your immediate go-to of what sets that you will want to sell this upcoming Q4. You'll also want to look at, things that you bought last year. Now, of course, everything that you buy on the retirement list is not going to mature that quickly. But there are the sets out there that, as I've said before, that you could kind of phone in. Those are the Minecraft and Speed Champions and other sets. But you want to get an idea of at least how many SKUs that you're going to be potentially selling at the upcoming Q4. You also want to look for opportunities. And when I'm talking about opportunities, I mean that in a very general sense. Maybe you're starting conversations up at big box stores with managers and you're making connections that way. Maybe you're doing some networking. Maybe there's still some stragglers that have retired that you still have the opportunity to grab before they're completely gone. So there are opportunities out there, but there's not a lot. But you need to, at times knock on doors. I'm sure everybody here has joined all the Lego Facebook groups and things of that sort. So in a general sense, just look for any type of opportunity. Now, when June comes, and that should be this month, they had Amazon Prime Day. Now, last year they had Amazon Prime Day, I believe, in September. But that was a one-off, right? That was COVID. But I did check in preparation for this video, and in 2019, Amazon had Prime Day in July. So this might be one of those times where, in the future, Amazon Prime might be in July. However, if I had to guess, the sooner they have the sales, the sooner they're able to generate revenue. I wouldn't be surprised if Amazon stuck with Prime Day in June. I'm not entirely sure if that's going to happen, but that's something I'm going to keep on tracking. Now, here's the thing. You're going to want to buy up the remaining summer end-of-life sets. This is the time where things are going to be starting to dry up, and you're going to need to capitalize on that. And I've said this ad nauseum. My number one set is the bakery because I believe this set will have a huge ROI this upcoming December. The Minecraft, I don't know if Speed Champions will or not, but definitely the Minecraft. And also, this is where, again, some of the big box stores have the end of the quarter clearances. So just stay tuned to what's going on in the big box locations. I would say listen to Justin, the flipping accountant. When it comes to special clearances, I mean, he's pretty much my go-to. Brick Foundation is my go-to for any upcoming news, but the flipping accountant is definitely my go-to when it comes to sets that will be clearanced. So when July comes, you know, it may seem a little bit boring, but it really isn't. July is usually whenever Barnes and Noble has their clearance, and that's when you could go in there and scoop everything up. If you wanted to, I believe their clearance last year was 30% off, and of course you could get 10% off more if you use discounted gift cards. Potentially, sometimes they're 7, sometimes they're 10, and you could also use another 10% off with the Barnes and Noble membership. And you're really going to want to update your buying list, right? So, you know, so the summer retiring sets should pretty much be close to being gone. So it's just time to wipe that slate clean and just focus on what might potentially be retiring in the fall and starting to buy that up. Now, it is July, so there's a chance that the retirement list may not be out yet, but at any rate, you should still have some educated guesses on what you want to buy. And, I mean, to be honest, if there's a set that you like that you think is going to perform well, you may just want to go ahead and buy it if it's been out for 3 years because its time might be up. And when I say buy it, I'm not necessarily talking about buying 100 or 150, but you may start to buy, you know, 10 or 20 units or 25 if you don't have any of that set just yet, because when things start moving very quick, you know, then you could buy another 25 and then you'll have 50. So worst case scenario, 50 is all you have, which is not a terrible thing. All right, so August, man, when August comes, Q4 is really just around the corner. You're going to want to do all of your selling prep, and I'm talking about boxing everything up, taping everything up. I've said it before, and I'm going to keep on saying it again because I'm sure there's 1 or 2 people that it's just not clicking yet, but eventually it will. You really want to try and make Q4 where it consists nothing of printing off packing slips and taping it to a box and have a nice day. You're sending it out on a USPS pickup. You also want to get your buying prep out of the way too. And what I mean by that is if you're one of those people that have thought about getting those 0% APR credit cards for 18 months, now is really the time to do that. And the reason why that is if you're able to successfully get a 15,000 line of credit at a 0% return, which is amazing, you really have 2 Q4s overlapping, right? So you should be able to pay that off. But you want to get all your ducks in a row. You may just want 1, or you may want 2 or 3, but you got to get all that buying prep out of the way now, because once you start moving, there really is no going back. All right. Now, when September comes, you know, for me, I do have network down. And when I say network, again, I'm not necessarily talking about finding new people to talk to them about Lego. I'm talking about the network that you already have. And, you know, just have some simple conversations going back and forth, kind of like a preview of what Q4 will look like. So, you know, I'm trying to think of the conversation I had with Shane. I honestly, it escapes me. But the year prior to that, you know, I was talking about Simpson houses and, you know, making sure that I wanted all the Simpson houses gone. And it wasn't a matter of I don't care of what the price is. Of course, I want a good price. But, you know, talking with another reseller on what, you know, the lowest potential price is to let the Simpson houses go is key. You know, just talking about if there was anything that they didn't do that they should have done the prior year. So it's kind of like a huddle before Q4, and then you know, a lot of times I say my goodbyes right there, and then I'll say, you know, I'll chat with you next year. There will be 1 or 2 people that I will, you know, maybe text back and forth with, but other than that, that's about it until January or February. You know, finish any Q4 prep. All of the Q4 prep should be done. There should be no reason why you should be up until 2 in the morning doing whatever you're doing with your Lego reselling business. And again, there's going to be end of quarter clearance at some of the big box retailers, and you're going to want to go ahead and take advantage of that. So come October, you know, this is when I always talk about Target has their big Lego clearance sale. And it's funny. There's things that are 40 and 50% off, and I'll mention it in the YouTube videos, the public YouTube videos, and there will be people that will be hating me in the comments saying, none of this stuff is ever 40 or 50% off. Well, it is, and it usually starts in October, so you want to be careful of that. You want to be mindful of that. And I'm going to challenge everybody out there that because it's going to be around 40 or 50% off, I challenge everybody to step outside of their comfort zone. So if you haven't ever bought Duplo yet, and you see a couple Duplo sets that are discounted 40 or 50% off, don't hesitate to throw it on the Facebook group or message me and say, hey, what do you think of this set? And then if you like what we hear and we were able to build up enough confidence for you, then you may want to consider going ahead and pulling the trigger on that. It's a great opportunity that doesn't often come during the year. So that's something to look forward to, and I definitely look forward to that. So the Costco sales, we talked about this during the last group chat. I have heard conflicting reports that sometimes Costco sales are in late October and sometimes Costco sales are in early November. I'm just going to go ahead and assume that's the case, that for both of them. So there may be an end of October sale. I don't know about you, but I'm going to start getting on the horn and dialing for dollars and maybe talking to some of my reseller buddies. And I'm also going to be calling up Costco's themselves and see if there's anybody knowledgeable that would be able to answer the question. And then November, of course, we want to execute the Costco sale. I do have just Black Friday and Cyber Week in November. And I deliberately wanted to limit it to that. And the reason why that is I don't want people to be confused or, be hypnotized by the fog of Black Friday is every day in November or those types of ads, right? Now, for me, I strictly watch, what's going on Black Friday and Cyber Week. I know for myself, the number one thing that I'm looking forward to this Cyber Week is going on HarleyDavidson.com and seeing if they have any more Harley-Davidson sets that retail for $100 but come in at $65. But who knows? There will be all kinds of great stuff out there. I think November was the one time last month where I bought the most Funkos. So, there's all kinds of crazy stuff that will happen. But those are the two points that I'm going to be zoomed in on during the month of November. So when December drops, my friends, you want to watch out for flash sales. This is the time where I personally believe that the retailers will be looking at what they've done and they have their predictor software and they're trying to end on top and end strong. And sometimes that may mean that they're going to have to do a flash sale here, or there might be some crazy sale going on that wasn't necessarily publicly advertised. It's kind of low-key advertised. So, that's stuff that I watch out for. The flipping opportunities, I'm telling you, man, the people that have 4 R2-D2s and maybe 4 Cantinas, they're going to thank me later for listening to this, because I know there should be opportunities out there. There definitely will be for Cantinas. I give it a 100% chance for the Cantinas. I give it a 90% chance for the R2-D2s. But there's in other sets, of course, not just those two, but there's quite a few flipping opportunities out there in general. And also, my friends, finish strong. And what I mean by that is you want to keep on moving. If you see opportunities out there, now really is not the time to sleep. You want to go buy potential flash sales. You want to, see what is out there in regards of retiring sets and find opportunities to buy. Last year was the one Q4 where I did the most buying. The Q4 before that was the one Q4 I did the most buying. So this Q4 is going to be the one Q4 where I will be doing the most buying. So you just have to pay attention. I'm saying this especially for the brand new people. There's opportunity for your head to spin, but just stay grounded. And here's the deal. I mean, let's be honest. Let's say you didn't sell some set that you had 25 units of, it's not the end of the world. It'll probably sell in January and maybe trickle out into February, March. It's not the end of the world. So you just need to do what you need to do, stay the course, because you set yourself up for success during the months prior, and just finish strong. So the one thing I do want to add at the end of this is the Kohl's sale. I wanted to add this earlier, but Kohl's sales, they're Kohl's sales, right? Sometimes they don't have the best inventory. Sometimes the deals are so good that there's no inventory. But I mean, I would love to hear everybody's feedback on what I'm about to say. I believe the Kohl's sales, they're the best thing going on right now in the United States when it comes to Lego reselling and investing. I mean, they'll have their sales, and I believe they're every 6 weeks or at least every 2 months, where they'll have their sales where things are like 30% off, and then you get Kohl's Cash. And when you get Kohl's Cash, I mean, you're practically getting those sets for 50% off. I mean, I don't know anywhere else where you could get a better deal in the summer, in the fall. Maybe the fall, but into the beginning of the year after your Q4, like in March, there were some really good sales going on around March of this year. I mean, I cannot talk about the Kohl's sales enough and how important that is to everybody's return on investment. So, they have them. I know they have them more than 4 times a year. They probably have them 6 or 8. But I would get on that Kohl's train, man, and do whatever you need to do to buy up as many of those discounted sets. And I've shared in the past, how to ensure that your bags are not damaged. Well, that you just don't get bags anyway. You get actual boxes, because they were sent in the bags and those sets were damaged, which is not fun. And that was just hot garbage. So that's it, my friends. I hope you enjoyed this video. I wouldn't be surprised in the next year or two, I'm going to add on to this and have a 2.0 and a 3.0 version of this. But that's all I got now. I would love to hear if there was something that I missed that someone else would like to add into it. I know you all liked this video. You don't even need to like this because no one's seeing it. And you should have already subscribed. Hope you have a good day. I'll catch you next time.